Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jonathan McGowan, and I want to thank you for joining us today for another ConnectALL value stream management workshop. And today, what we're going to be talking about is governance and compliance. We're going to talk about how ConnectALL can. We're going to talk a little bit about what governance and compliance are, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you can achieve governance and compliance using something like ConnectALL. Now, today we're primarily going to be talking about really just kind of conceptually here. And what we'll do is just kind of, again, talk through the topics a little bit, talk through the concepts, and then get a little bit into about how those concepts apply as we're managing our value stream through an application like ConnectALL. So let me go ahead and share my screen here.
And let's kind of go ahead and just recap our session so far. For those of you that have been following along so far and have joined us through our previous sessions, thank you for that. But we've been kind of going through and just talking through the various parts of a value stream management platform. We've talked about how we can escalate incidents through different applications, and we've kind of followed that process as we've gone along, showing how we can orchestrate with applications like Jenkins, get updates in our chat tools, how we can improve reliability. We showed an example of a JUnit test using Cucumber and how we can get those back into the value stream, or how we can get those back into our applications. Last week, we talked about traceability with change risk analytics, and that kind of ties in a little bit to what we're going to do today as well. So we're going to talk about improving quality and reliability via governance and compliance. And so just to recap here, what exactly is a value stream? A value stream is really any process that produces value. And again, if you've been with us thus far, you've heard this. So the idea is that a value stream is really anything, whether you're writing code in Notepad and pushing it out someplace, or whether you are making a sandwich. You can find better ways to make your sandwich. If Trying to think of a good example there for making a sandwich. I was thinking something like, well, you wouldn't necessarily want to dip your finger in the mayonnaise to slide it across your sandwich. You'd probably want to get a knife for that. That would improve your value stream there, right? So really, like I said, it's any process that produces value. It does it, and the exercise of value stream management is really about improving your process. It's really about improving the value of your process as you go along. So we get some examples of that if you take a look at some of our blogs. Here's an example of a blog written by our very own Tim Styling, where he talks about his morning routine and how he can improve his process in his morning routine. That applies to your everyday life, but it also applies to software development as well, as we go through and plan and triage and approve and deploy to production and things like that. So really, value stream is everywhere, regardless of what it is or what you're doing. And we'll just kind of go through this really quick. The idea behind a value stream management platform, it's all about capturing those flow metrics. It's about integrating the different applications within your value stream, orchestrating the different things that happen across your value stream, and then governing the things as well, governing when things happen. And that's exactly what we'll focus on here today. So I want to kind of first start off by asking a question of you, and go ahead and if you want to type in the chat box as we're thinking about this today, or as we're going through this presentation, I kind of want to know, what exactly does governance and compliance mean to you? I've got some ideas, and I'll put them up here on the screen in just a moment. But really, whenever you think about the word governance, when you think about the word compliance, what does that mean to you? And I kind of asked around, and I've been asking colleagues, professional colleagues of mine, both internal and external, kind of what that means. And I've come up with a small list, and if you come up with something different than what's on my list, I'd be happy to hear about it. Go ahead and type that in the chat as we go along. So here's some things that folks have said as I've asked this question. And one thing that governance and compliance means is accuracy. Uh, People want to know that they're doing the right things, and governance and compliance can help us do that. Um, we want to be able to go back and make sure that the code we're writing or that the process that we're doing is doing the right thing. And so we'll add things maybe to the end of our processes. Things like retrospectives can help with that, but also adding some toll gates in there can help with that too. Maybe saying that somebody's looked at this to make sure that it's ready to move along in the process. Uh, a toll gate like that verifies that we're doing the right thing. It also improves the quality of what we're doing too, because if we're stopping to take a look at what we're doing as we're doing it, then of course and then approving it before it moves on, of course that improves our quality too, because then we have an opportunity to stop a moment and say, hold on, maybe this isn't quite hitting the mark. And we're all familiar with that, with the concepts between agile and waterfall, and where as we um, agile gives us the opportunity to kind of pause as we go along here and there, to really check on our progress, and with our external demos and everything, to make sure that we're doing the right things, and that improves our quality, and make sure that we're building the right things. uh, Traceability is another interesting one in there. Folks want to be able to trace the changes as they go throughout their process. They want to see all the different things that were impacted by these changes. We introduce new lines of code, we want to see all of the items, all the other pieces of code that are impacted by that. And so that kind of gets into what CJ was talking about last week with his change risk and analytics. Is we want to be able to drill down and see exactly everything that was touched by our changes. That traceability gives us, again, it improves our quality, it improves our accuracy. And so that's really more about the compliance side. Really wanting to get in there and make sure that compliant, or that traceability there will help us comply to different laws, different rules, different processes that we may have. That allows us to go through and again kind of analyze everything as we're going along, and make sure that we're hitting the mark, and make sure that we're doing the right things, and that we're not introducing unnecessary risk. Checks and balances is a big one. Wanting to make sure that work only progresses when it's appropriate. I kind of touched on that a minute ago, talking about approvals. But, let's make sure that everything in this build is okay before we push it to production. Somebody experienced needs to get in there and look at it and say, here's all the things that are being touched. Yes, we're okay to go in there. So all these things are kind of really um, interacting with each other. All these things that I mentioned here are all kind of related to one another in some form or fashion. Um, Kind of off and on side, we talking about security. Security is an answer that I got before. Security is really just making sure that only appropriate access is given when it's needed. So that's when you think about governance, government, or governing policies. We're only granting those powers, only granting that access as needed. We only want specific people to be in charge of approving things, right? And then assurance finally is confidence. All these things result in confidence. We can go to production more confidently because we have the processes in place, we have the checks in place, we have traceability in place, and we can see all these things uh, and get a good view at what we've done across the value stream. And this gives us the confidence to move things out into production, and to build better products and to produce better value. So an example like that may be something like an ITSM system, like we talked about at the very, very beginning of our series. Here we've got an example of many different incidents that have come in. And if you've ever sat on a demo with me, one of my favorite ones is I can't reset my password. you know, uh, sit there in something like ServiceNow, and I type up an instance and say I can't reset my password. Um, and that could be because we don't know how to change our password. Maybe we've forgotten how to change our password, or it could be something like the page is actually broken. If we try to change our password and it's actually broken, that could be something as well. So there's all this noise coming in from an incident portal. There's so many people throughout our organizations have access to submit incidents, and it could range anywhere from I can't reset my password uh, to the actual page is broken, or the form is broken, or I can't submit something, or I can't submit a payment. Um, so we've got to be able to decide what needs to be fixed and what doesn't. I know that seems kind of obvious, but it really is kind of a very important part of the value stream. Because if I were to take all of these issues within ServiceNow, all these password reset requests, and I were to just go ahead and push them right on over to something like Azure DevOps without giving it another thought, then all of a sudden our development team is swarmed with password reset requests. Well, we don't want that, right? The idea is that not just to have integration just for integration's sake, but do it in a smart way. We want to not just push all these things over, but only we want to be selective. And so we've got our level 1 and our level 2 teams in ServiceNow deciding what they can fix, what can be fixed without code changes, and they've got things that they've decided can be that need to be escalated for fixing. So after doing some triage, we look at something like this. Okay, these highlighted in blue, these are the ones that we've actually identified. Some of these might be broken. Some of these we might, we could send over to development. And they could say, "Well, I can't reproduce it. It's not really a bug." But either way, we need somebody else to look at it. Our level 1 and our level 2 teams have been unsuccessful and needs to move over. So we want some sort of gate there, right? We want some sort of toll gate. We want to say, only these specific incidents that have been assigned to this group. Maybe if it's assigned to a software group or development group, only send those things over. Okay, and so that's something that we'll do as part of our integrations. And so if we actually pop over here and take a look within our ConnectALL, we can see that we've actually done some things like that. We have our flow filters here in ConnectALL. And so what we can do is we can actually pull up something like our ServiceNow, and we can make a filter within ServiceNow to say only these specific groups. Let's filter these incidents down to just this one group, perhaps. And then we can literally copy and paste that right there from ServiceNow into ConnectALL. We can do that with any application to really say only select these specific things to synchronize. And that's a very common request that we have throughout the many organizations that we deal with. I only want this project to go over. I only want these bugs to go, or I only want these user stories to flow. So it's really, I know, again, like I said, it seems almost too simple, but it really is foundational, really, to our value stream management. Because again, it wouldn't do us very much good to send every incident over. It wouldn't do us very much good to send every requirement over, because some requirements will be canceled. It wouldn't do us very much good to always send all these different things across all the different tools, because what we end up doing then is just spreading the noise around. Our developers only want to work on the things that developers need to work on. They don't want to be inundated with password reset requests. And so what we can do here is if we start to take a look at it in a further, if we kind of tag each of these different integrations in the dashboard that I showed just for a second there, we can kind of identify different areas where governance needs to step in. We want to say only certain requirements that have been approved, only certain requirements that have been selected should flow from our planning tool to our development tools. Only certain incidents that have been identified as being a true coding problem need to be escalated over to our engineering tools. We don't want every team to be notified of every single bug. So we'll be selective as well. Even with our chat ops, we'll be selective and say only these specific issues should go to this team, and only these issues should go to this team. And we want to be selective that way too. when we get to the very end over here, when we're ready to start deploying something, we'll want to make sure that everything's approved. We'll do our change risk analytics down here at the bottom, like CJ showed, and we'll go through our analytics, make sure things are actually ready to go, and then finally we'll come back over here and we'll approve the deployment and actually push something out to production. So that's the general idea here, is that again, I know it seems something that's so simple, but like I said, it is so foundational to to data moving, or to work moving across the value stream. And I kind of wanted to highlight that it's such an important part of value stream management, and any value stream management platform that you work with here needs to be able to support something like that. So with that, let's go ahead and I'll open it up for questions. And let's go ahead and see here. So yeah, we did have one response in here that talking about what governance and compliance means to them. And similar to what we talked about, it means maintaining control over internal processes and establishing security. So yeah, good. Yeah, we were right. We're tracking right there with each other. So I'm glad I hit that for you. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to go ahead and ask. We'll leave it open for just a few more minutes. And what we'll be talking about next week, while we wait on some of those questions to come in, next week will be our final session within this series. I've enjoyed working on the series, and I hope that you've enjoyed joining us as well. But next week we're going to kind of wrap everything up, and we're going to talk about flow metrics. And really, once you have once everything's done, we've escalated our incident, we've provided the fix, and everything has gone through all of its processes and been deployed out into production. We do want to have that retrospective there at the end, and we want to say, was I accurate? We want to say, how long did it take? We want to say, did I do the right things? Did I do high quality things? And is my process improving? Am I producing more value than I was before we had these processes? So that's going to be the last point that we talk about next week. And that's what you'll see is we'll get change, or we'll get business analytics and flow metrics next week. So be sure to join us for that. And CJ will be back on to walk through that with you. All right. I don't see any other questions in. So again, if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to us at sales@connectall.com. We'll be happy to assist any way we can. But excited to be here and help you through any of your value stream management platform questions or needs. And feel free to reach out to us at any time. With that, I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next time.